we've got information coming at us and messages coming at us through Teams, through Slack, through emails. Anybody know how frequently that stuff comes through? Anybody have a guess? If you want to raise your hand, that's okay. I'll tell you. 11 minutes. Every 11 minutes, we are interrupted. I get to talk with CEOs and leaders every day. Some of those are people we're coaching, new clients, new customers of our software, or just interviewing people like several of the implementers I've interviewed on our podcast. And I hear that three problems come up continually for people. The first problem that comes up when you're trying to implement it could be a business operating system, but any vision. The first problem is you feel like your people are already swimming against the current. They've got tons of information coming at them. And the visual is like they're doing the side stroke in a very heavy current. I don't know if I can do a side stroke with my mic. But the idea is we've got information coming at us and messages coming at us through Teams, through Slack, through emails. Anybody know how frequently that stuff comes through? Anybody have a guess? If you want to raise your hand, that's okay. I'll tell you. 11 minutes. Every 11 minutes, we are interrupted. That's going to come up later. But the main idea is with all of that information, all these tools and all the things coming at us, there's a general sense that my people are already overloaded. And if I throw one more thing into that pile of stuff that they're trying to swim with, they're going to sink. The other problem that arises, I'll talk with leaders feeling that there's so many changes happening in the world right now, geopolitical, economic. AI is literally building itself now and completely transforming industries. Many times a leader will feel that they can't get a change through until this project's finished or this external situation is perfect. And so they're not taking action because things aren't perfect yet. And then the third problem, you can implement a change. You can have the Ferrari that is EOS, and you're just not getting the full value of it. It's like you've got this Ferrari and you're just driving it around the neighborhood. You're not taking it out on the open road. We're going to talk today about the fixes. We can't change how much change there is in the world. What we can do is create certainty and create rhythms of predictable results using some of these tools. We want consistent wins instead of constant change. And I'll show you how to engineer an environment where you can do exactly that. EOS is the subject of the whole event here today, but this applies to any change. We want to get the most value we can from the system. And again, we'll show you how to make sure you're doing that using these principles. So it's helpful to understand where this stuff comes from, because giving you this story will allow me to really jam-pack the rest of the workshop. A lot of this comes from one of our clients. So we have this great client named Will. I've known him for a long time. He's become a close friend. Will, interesting entrepreneur, grew up on a farm, put himself through college on the GI Bill, and then started as an entrepreneur. Tried several businesses, but one of the businesses he co-founded with two partners started doing really, really well. And it grew and it grew and it grew 30% month over month. And it started outmaneuvering and essentially just beating corporates that were like Fortune 100, like Time Warner level, that were competing for the same space. So his company was purchased and rolled up in a larger, big, very public transaction. His profitable foundation had another company that wasn't profitable and out of money, also rolled into it. Their name was put on his company, and it's now Match.com. So Will came out of that with this idea that, God, we figured some things out here. We were able to get a lot done, but it sure was hard. So his quest was, took a year off and realized retirement wasn't for him, wanted to go build more businesses, ended up with 160 investments in a few companies he's advising and running. And he brought me in to help do that. And his quest was, how can we get the growth? How can we get the success without the pain? And the question he kept asking is, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? And what can we do about this? So that process was a deep dive into every book, every research paper. He's flying to one side of the country to meet with experts in neurofeedback. He's corresponding with the foremost expert on how our brains learn and retain information in Eastern Europe and getting permission to use algorithms from that guy. He's arranging meetings for us with the Center for Brain Health here in Dallas. where we're meeting with researchers and comparing notes. We're compiling all this data and gathering all the data and sifting through it and testing it. We found really one thing that made a difference. And the thing about that one thing is it was getting really crazy results. We were seeing results 6 times faster. And if you do the math on that, just on cost of goods sold, your labor costs rather, it's an 83% improvement. So I started using these principles in practice with all of our clients and started seeing similar results at $1 billion company. And we're seeing the same types of results again and again and again. So we began weaving this into the fabric of our software platform and our coaching. It wasn't 1,000 different tools. It was very simply our ability to take in new information, apply it, and learn from it. Anybody here start their career when there were a lot of 9s in the years, like back in the 1900s, right? A lot of us did. There's an old corporate model of, hey, you're going to go to this training and we're going to get you this certification. And those are long trainings. And then we're going to teach you this process and you'll learn things like change management and all these really big, long learning cycle things. That's how I came into the world. After you do that, it's just go work harder, go work harder, go work harder. And a lot of us have done really well with that working harder, right? That model has been rewarded, but it depends on time and it depends on working all the time. So I like to bring up this model of rip currents because I talked about the currents we face and also growing up in Galveston, Texas, surfing and being a lifeguard. I keep thinking of this model of rip currents. Anybody here heard of a rip current? Well, just to make sure we're on the same page. So a rip current happens when water's pushed up the floor of the ocean to the shore. And once the waves push it up, it tries to go right back down that decline, but it can't because more waves are coming past it. So what happens is the water starts moving parallel to the shore. And depending on how rough it is, it starts to move pretty fast. Now that current's strong by itself, but when that same current hits a channel, a deep channel, it flies back out to sea. And every year, even though there's warning signs, 2 warning signs like every half mile in my hometown of Galveston, it claims a life. And often claims a life as somebody who knows how to swim because there's a thing about fighting rip currents. So the other show of hands is, how many people here know how to beat a rip current? I'm going to have you put your hands down because you cannot beat a rip current. You can survive a rip current, which I think is what you guys mean, right? You cannot swim against a rip current. If Michael Phelps himself put on flippers and swam hard, he's not going to beat that current. But what you can do when you're aware of the current is you can swim at an angle, 45-degree angle, you reach the edge, and then you can use the rest of the currents to get back. If you're a really strong swimmer, you go 90 degrees. The thing about the rip current is that same rip current that's dangerous becomes an amazing tool if you're a surfer, because surfing requires you to paddle out to where the waves first break. So you got to paddle through all the waves that are breaking, and you can develop that endurance, you can develop that strength, but ultimately it takes time away from your time surfing and you're tired when you get there. Unless you take this neat tool you have called a surfboard, very simple tool. You plop that sucker on a rip current and you've got your very own ski lift out to joy and happiness with very little effort. That's what I'm trying to convey today. These currents of neuroscience give you exactly that type of lift. When you fight them, you'll exhaust yourself. And the mental form of exhaustion that 4 out of 5 people report facing is called burnout. But if you use them, you'll accelerate and you'll get those accelerations we talked about.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode. Be sure to hit the like button below and click the subscribe button to be notified when new videos drop. See you next time.